Ever since the first game entries, Pokémon has been plagued with rumors and myths about what may or may not be hiding inside the game. One of the most sinister would have to be White Hand and Buried Alive. Of course, these are just rumors, but what if they were real? Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, this is Buried Alive. Okay, so what is Buried Alive? Well, it's a creepypasta which used to be a lot more popular, but in recent years people have just kinda lost interest. I feel kind of old talking about creepypastas. But anyway, there's no truth to Buried Alive and by extension White Hand. In fact, the creepypasta they originate from is pretty badly written. The story goes that, and I'm paraphrasing, Buried Alive was a final boss for Lavender Town in the original Red and Blue, but was removed from the final version of the game, only being accessible through a glitch. It has the appearance of a zombified human and would have a Pokemon called White Hand in its party. The event wasn't finished being programmed, so if you won the battle, the game froze. But if you lost, you were met with a game over screen, where Buried Alive would eat the player character. While it's fine for a good spook, it's just way too outlandish to be believable. Definitely there are some unsettling things in the original Pokemon games, but gruesome things like this are just ridiculous. Though I will say that the sprites made to accompany the story freak me out. But I can't help but wonder, what if Buried Alive and White Hand were real? Well, for one they wouldn't because it's stupid and would cause even more controversy should they be discovered. But let's entertain the idea while changing some things to better fit the games. Let's start with White Hand. The origin of White Hand is actually rooted in reality, in the sense that an NPC in Lavender Town says something about a white hand being on the player character's shoulder. But if this were to be an actual Pokemon, we would need to change the name. Let's say the appearance was roughly the same, maybe a little more anthropomorphic, but the sprite works for now, just not as decayed. Rather a more ghostly looking hand. So let's assume that this was a real Pokemon introduced in Generation 1. Its name is Monoblanc, of course coming from the Spanish words for white and hand because that's an easy way to name Pokemon. But anyway, this is a single stage ghost type Pokemon. Its stat distribution would be around the range of other single stage evolutions like Electabuzz and Magmar, so probably just below 500. I think it would be more on the defensive side. Even if it seems a little underwhelming, it would actually be a pretty powerful Pokemon for this generation. Psychic types like Mewtwo and Alakazam were the most powerful because the only real counter they had was a ghost type like Gengar, who is actually weak to psychic moves being part poison type. Monoblanc would end up being a relatively solid choice, only being weak to Gengar and other Monoblanc. It might even end up getting an evolution or mega evolution in a later game. Overall, a solid Pokemon. But now let's talk about Buried Alive. Obviously, this one has a stupid name, so let's call it Spectre. I think its appearance should also be changed to look more ghostly, to be in line with the ghost sprites we see in the game. Maybe just looking like a more powerful version of them. I don't think the zombie look fits too well, and its backstory would definitely not make it out to be something that was originally human, but instead another vengeful Pokemon spirit like Marowak. And as far as how you activate the event, it obviously wouldn't be something only accessible through a glitch. It would be a secret boss or side event. Let's say after you defeat Sabrina in battle, she or maybe some other character in or around Saffron City would offhandedly mention something about another disturbance in the Pokemon Tower. When you head back to the top floor, this is where you would encounter Spectre and the battle would begin. Losing to Spectre wouldn't result in a game over because those don't exist in Pokemon, but if you win the battle, you would be presented with your very own Monoblanc. Of course, if this were the main method of obtaining Monoblanc, it wouldn't really be a secret, but would instead be necessary for completing the Pokédex. But I think it's still a good and pretty realistic way to incorporate these two in Pokemon Red and Blue, while at the very least keeping White Hand as an exclusive Pokemon for Buried Alive. And really, there could be a few other ways that you could better properly introduce or incorporate these things into the games, but for now we're working with a terrible creepypasta and a game that has some limitations that would probably be best to stick to. But whatever the case, I'm just glad that these things aren't 100% real. But anyway, hey, this is GatorEX, but let me know what you think about this creepypasta in general, the specific parts of it. Obviously, can't ask you if you think it's real, because it's obviously not, but what are some of your favorite creepypastas that maybe you think could be implemented into the actual games? What do you think of my ideas? And if you got any suggestions about how to better incorporate some of these into the game, if you think they should be done that at all, let me know. Things are continuing with the spooky videos, should be ramping up, but this one was a fun idea that I thought I'd try out, because I used to do stuff like this about, what if X was real, or what if this happened in Pokemon. So if you'd like to see maybe more of that for some of these scary, creepypasta, or spooky things in Pokemon, let me know. If you enjoyed the content, remember to leave a like and subscribe to show your support. You can enable notifications by clicking that bell icon next to the subscribe button. This will make sure you see each new video as it comes out. I'll make you a member of that Shingling squad. Anyway, this has been GatorEX, and I call this meeting of the Midnight Society done. Finished. How do you say? Go home. It's dark and scary out here.